Indeed, we have our correspondent Jessica Taneja standing by who sent us these highlights. So Jessica, fill us in with the details of the declaration. Give us the highlights.
Right, Michael, you and I were discussing it's no more a speculative aspect of the declaration. In fact, it has been made official that the member states have strongly condemned the terrorist attack in Pahalgam. And this is an important update as well as a welcome initiative, so to say, by other member states for India, especially when it comes to India putting its stand forward when it comes to cross-border terrorism emanating from one of the member states, Pakistan. So this, in fact, does go on to show and reflect that India's commitment and India's voice perhaps has been accommodated to an extent when it concerns at the SCO, which earlier we saw during the Defence Minister's meeting. You'd recall that Defence Minister Rajnath Singh had refused to be part of that declaration and said that till the time the Pahalgam terrorist attack will not be mentioned, India will not join in and will not sign up for that communique. But I think India's sensitivities and India's concerns have been taken into consideration, and this is a welcome move and perhaps shows India's heft when it comes to the SCO and its basic framework, which is to combat terrorism. And for the Pahalgam terror attack to find a mention in this declaration is certainly going to go a long way in addressing India's concern when it comes to terrorist activities, especially when you have the Pakistan Prime Minister in the room. So a mention for the Pahalgam terror attack does gain its own significance and importance, Mark.
Indeed. And also it does mention that the member states strongly condemn terrorism in all its forms and manifestations, stress that double standards in the fight against terrorism are unacceptable. These are the words that Prime Minister used in his speech, and also call on the international community to combat terrorism, including cross-border movement of terrorists. This is the language. So clearly, very strong words, Professor Sachdeva. How would you view, this kind of language in the joint statement or in the declaration?
Well, I think from Indian perspective, I think it's a very, very positive development, because if one has seen earlier declarations, I was expecting that if you just follow what has been happening in the last couple of summits earlier, there could be, of course, there would be a mention of terrorism, but this will be broad mentioning of terrorism, saying, that, they condemn terrorist acts across the world, etc. This is what they have been doing.
Right.
Now, it also clearly means that there is also broader understanding between India and China on some of these issues. This couldn't have happened otherwise. Because all other member states, as I was mentioning, Russia, Belarus, Iran, or other Central Asian countries, they won't have any problem with naming Pahalgam incident. It was basically Pakistan would have problem, and then China would have supported, and then they could that would have been the main issue. But if there is a certain broader understanding has been built between India and China, that there are certain mutual sensitivities which need to be taken into account if we really have to move forward in our bilateral relations. And I think that is I would say, result of that kind of understanding being achieved between India and China. So that's a very positive development, not just, I would say, in the context of what has been mentioned here about Pahalgam and about terrorism, but also it's a positive development, indication of a positive development between India and China. Large number of issues.
I'll stop you there, Professor Sachdeva. I need to go back to our correspondent because she's reporting for both our channels in Hindi and in English, so she's needed in the Hindi channel. So let me just ask her to, Jessica, could you just tell us a little bit more about what the declaration says over and above terrorism and from India's focus?
So India's focus, there's also, of course, about connectivity and ensuring that sovereignty of nations is respected, especially when it comes to, again, cross-border terrorism, and also the kind of geopolitical conflicts that India has been witnessing. It certainly has made a move in a sense where it wants to advance that strategic relationship with not just China and Russia especially its traditional partner, but apart from that, will also have an access to, or a relationship with the Central Asian nations. So certainly in that direction, it is an important communique, but largely, Mark, the focus remains on terrorism, because remember, the SCO framework was initially adopted and was focused completely on terrorism and how to look at proper coordination and how to have all the countries on the same page, if not on every issue, but at least the issues concerning each country when it comes to terrorism.
Okay, we leave it there. Thanks, Jessica, for joining us. Let